Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. We're back from the weekend. You've grinded your way through another Monday. Your reward for surviving the Monday is 3 hours of sports talk here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero. I'm with you for the duration today. We'll be with you until 6 o'clock this evening. Spencer Dupuis will pop his head in momentarily. Brendan Wrzynski is off today. Lots to get to from the sports weekend that was, and looking ahead to the sports week that is. It is Super Bowl week. And maybe you took it a little bit for granted without realizing it, but this is only the second Super Bowl in the last 7 years that has not featured the Kansas City Chiefs. So my question to you Chiefs fans out there, because you know my answer to this question, because the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. Can you believe it? Isn't that something else? Isn't that just amazing? The Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. You know my answer to the question. But I want to hear your answer to the question. How stoked are you or not for this Super Bowl? Because this is not on its face what you would refer to as a marquee matchup in the Super Bowl. These are not two historically legendary franchises. Although, I mean, you take the broad view of the history of the National Football League, there's not many franchises more successful now than the New England Patriots. This is not a matchup of superstar quarterbacks, of surefire future Hall of Famers. Maybe in about half a decade, that particular path might become clearer for some of the younger players on this team, or Drake May, if he and his Patriots come out victorious. But there's not, I guess, that hook that gets you for this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting or underreacting. But I'm curious, for the Chiefs fan, is this one you're fired up for? Or maybe you're happy to have a Super Bowl that's none of your business, so you don't have 2 weeks of stress, or a Super Bowl Sunday full of stress. You can just chill and I don't know, make some chili, watch the Puppy Bowl, do whatever it is you want to do, and not have to worry about the result of the game. I would never suggest that would be true, by the way. You could surprise me, but it's cooler to have your team playing in it and not play in it. I'd rather my team play in it and lose than not get close. So I guess that's my big question today. And we're gonna look at it at some different angles, such as what is the storyline, the number one storyline headline for this Super Bowl? What is the primary hook for Super Bowl 60 coming up next Sunday in Santa Clara at Levi Stadium? You'll be able to hear it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Westwood One's pregame coverage beginning at 1 p.m. Actually, no, I think we're going earlier than that. I think we're going at 11. I think we're carrying the whole day of Westwood One coverage here on WIBW. I'll correct the record if indeed I need to. But how fired up are you for the game itself? Who are you rooting for? You don't need my permission, but you are more than welcome to jump on the bandwagon of America's team, the Seattle Seahawks, and get behind America's quarterback, Sam Darnold. You have my permission if you would like to jump. Permission to climb aboard, granted. But yeah, who are you pulling for? Or are you kind of looking forward to a Sunday where you can, I don't know, like, what do you do on Super Bowl Sunday when you don't watch Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't think I'm talking to a lot of people who are going to tune out the Super Bowl. This is a sports talk radio show, after all. I've lied before and said, that Super Bowl's boring. I'm going to go thrifting, or I'm going to spend time with my family. Nah, man, it's the Super Bowl. It's what we do. We, as red-blooded Americans, it's what we do. We watch the Super Bowl. But how fired up or not are you for this matchup? We'll talk about that on the program today. We'll get Matt Verderame's thoughts, our NFL insider. He will help us break down the storylines, certainly, but also the matchup itself. Patriots, Seahawks. How does he expect that it will play out? We'll also get his thoughts on the end of the NFL's coaching carousel. All the seats are accounted for except for one, and we know who's going to get that job because that's public knowledge. The Raiders are going to hire Clint Kubiak as soon as the Seahawks are finished playing on Sunday night. He's going to sign a contract on Monday morning and be the next head coach of the Raiders, and that will be all the seats filled in the carousel. So we'll get Matt Verderame's thoughts on all that. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He'll join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Not just a football show today. We got some college hoops to get to. I was in the building at Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday. Game number 1,000 in the history of men's basketball at Allen Fieldhouse. KU won it. Had to hang on for dear life after Darryn Peterson sat out the entire second half. But in that first half, holy moly, was Darryn Peterson unbelievable. Will he have any of that in the tank in Lubbock tonight? KU back in action on Big Monday at Lubbock against a very good Texas Tech team. Obvious letdown spot for KU tonight. How did they avoid that, if indeed it is possible? And K-State, the humiliations continue to pile up for their basketball program. Losers by 34 points to Iowa State in front of legends of the program wearing the two-tone lavenders. They should have taken those off at halftime and worn practice jerseys. They should have worn T-shirts. Not sure they deserve the uniform. Certainly not the two-tone lavender. They didn't deserve to besmirch that uniform with that performance on Saturday. More bad press conference audio from Jerome Tang. You keep thinking it can't get worse. But in the words of former Royals manager Buddy Bell, I never say it can't get worse. So we got some college hoops that we will get to on the program today. Plus our typical Monday fun. We'll do headlines in the 5 o'clock hour. What is wrong with you in the 4 o'clock hour? We'll have good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was as well. Plus your interaction with the program throughout. I'm looking forward to hearing from you on this Monday show. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Also, if you're watching the show live on our YouTube channel today, you can hop in the live chat and say hello. Appreciate all of our live chatters. We've got Vance in, Mark H., Christopher and Andrew. I see Paul. I see Bill in the chat today. Good to see you. Great to have everybody who's already in the live chat. Look forward to more of you joining us. Again, we stream the show on YouTube every day that we are live from 3 to 6 on 580 WIBW. The name of the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go smash that subscribe button and interact with the show in the live chat. It's a great way to meet and interact with fellow fans of the show and your hosts over the course of the 3 hours. Again, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. But let's get into it. It is Super Bowl week. And I was talking to my wife, who, casual football fan, but Chiefs enjoyer. She's been very excited to see the recent run of success when the Chiefs have won Super Bowls. First Super Bowl win I got to watch with her was the 57 against the Eagles. We had just started dating when they won 54. We watched 55 together. That was a dud. 57, they won, and she gave me such a big hug. I thought she was going to break my ribs. So she gets excited, and we were talking about, well, what are we going to do on Super Bowl Sunday? We're going to invite, her family lives in the area. We're going to invite family over. And I said, you can invite family over. You might have to tell them to maybe, approach me like an earth sign mammal over the course of the game. I don't know that I'll be great company with a dog in the fight this year. But and she was saying, I just can't get into it with the Chiefs not playing. And that's when I said, oh, stop it. You played 5 of the last 6. You realize how ridiculous and unprecedented that is? That didn't happen. You played 5 of the last 6. Let me have one. So, but I do wonder how prevalent or not that attitude is among Chiefs fans who have gotten to enjoy, because the game itself is great. And if you win it, nirvana, like nothing better, right? But I've always said that winning the conference championship almost feels better than winning the Super Bowl. And the reason I say that, as a fan, I wouldn't say that as a player. And look, the Super Bowl is the ultimate accomplishment. But here's why winning a conference championship is super cool. And you guys obviously don't need me to tell you how cool that is. But it's cool because for the next 2 weeks, your team is the center of the universe in sports. For the next 2 weeks, sports are all about your team and those other guys, but mostly your team, right? All the TV coverage, all of the highlight packages, NFL networks rerunning all your games and great wins from the regular season, highlight packages of past glories. Your players are the ones appearing on TV. Your coach is the one getting interviewed on all the radio stations. Winning the conference championship rocks. Because in 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks where everything is about your team. And you get to enjoy that as a fan. When you win the Super Bowl, obviously, like I said, incredible feeling. The confetti falls. It's your owner. But then your coach and the MVP and all your favorites are raising the Lombardi trophy. And then there's the parade. And the parade is a good time. But then when the parade's done, it's done, right? Like, you have the parade. And then it's over. There's no more football. It's, I guess we're going to lose some of these guys free agency. What's that looking like? What's the draft looking like? It's just kind of done. You get to bask in the conference championship publicly for like 2 weeks. Super Bowl, you get 3 days. And then it's, all right, well, All-Star weekend in the NBA and pitchers and catchers report. And it's just different, okay? Maybe it's not better than winning a Super Bowl, but winning a conference championship is awesome. It's awesome. So, obviously, the anticipation and the excitement for 5 of the last 6 Super Bowl Sundays have been on an 11 out of 10. On this show, in this city, in this Chiefs kingdom where we reside. But of the last 2 Super Bowls without the Chiefs, the 2 in the last 7 years that have not included the Chiefs, how fired up were you to watch those games? Because we get Seahawks-Patriots this year. And look, we're all very well practiced at hating the Patriots, but these Patriots are not the Brady Belichick Patriots, who I think we all kind of had good reasons to dislike. I mean, pick Spygate, Deflategate, Brady's weird diet, all those championships they won. There were a lot of reasons to hate those Patriots. These Patriots are Mike Vrabel, who once said he would cut off an appendage. You know, that one, if it meant he could win a Super Bowl, he said that in public. He said that on an interview. You have Drake May, who appears to be a hail fellow well met, exciting young quarterback, could be the future. These Patriots are not those Patriots. I understand you don't feel the same way about these Patriots as you do those Patriots. So that's this year's game. And look, I can say this, and I understand this to be true as a fan of the Seattle Seahawks. What do y'all feel about the Seattle Seahawks? Nobody feels anything about the Seattle Seahawks. Generally speaking, this is not a team that has the kinds of personalities that are very much you love them or you hate them, like a lot of those Legion of Boom guys, like Richard Sherman. Holy cow, I remember how much everybody hated Richard Sherman, who was not a Seahawk fan in 2013. After he scared poor Aaron Andrews, there was a segment of America who did not appreciate Richard Sherman frightening Aaron Andrews. And he was the bad guy. And people didn't like Russell Wilson because they thought he was a weird phony. And people didn't like Marshawn Lynch because he wouldn't talk to the media. It was weird that people didn't like. Who doesn't like Marshawn Lynch? Seriously. But they were pretty mouthy. They ran their mouths, but they backed it up when they were, winning a Super Bowl and going to another the year after. That was a team you felt something about. Most of America doesn't even know who these guys are. They're a young team. They play with an attitude. They're really good. But the Seahawk everybody knows is Sam Darnold. And I think generally people kind of rooting for good things for Sam Darnold. Unless you're a Jets fan. Or maybe a Vikings fan. Jealous X. But, this is not a Seahawk team that you've had the opportunity to see enough of on even a nationally televised stage, never mind a championship stage, where you've developed an opinion about them. And chances are, if you listen to this radio program, your opinion on them is based on what I say about them. And I wasn't saying very nice things about them for 3 months. 3 of the 4 months of the regular season. I didn't say very nice things about my own favorite team. So I understand if there's not a lot of juice to this matchup in that standpoint. And I'm not sure there was a lot of juice to Bengals-Rams, Super Bowl 56. Maybe a little bit of anti-Bengals sentiment because how dare they win an AFC championship at Arrowhead Stadium. But I didn't sense that. I was living in Western Kansas at the time. It's a bit of a different deal. But I didn't sense that there was a big, rousing anti-Bengal sentiment in the Chiefs' kingdom that year. And then the Rams, I mean, the Rams don't have fans. So nobody roots for the Rams. There's no connection there. There's no connection to the city they play in. So that was kind of a strange one, too. I've talked about on this show sporting events or athletes passing or not passing the grandma test. And what I mean by this is we've all got a grandmother who doesn't really get into sports like us, right? We all have that grandparent. You get two sets. Maybe one of them is into sports. My grandmother, I mean, her brother's he's the one whose fault this all is. My grandma's brother's the one who was the NFL assistant coach for a long time. Like, you can blame him, and by extension, my grandmother, for me doing this, me shouting in your ear for 15 hours a week, as much as you can blame anybody. And you can certainly blame him for me being a Seahawks fan. But like my other grandmother, God rest her soul, she was not as much into sports. She loved Joe Montana, but she was not like a sit down in front of the TV and watch sports kind of sports fan. You know, maybe it's not. Maybe you got two grandmas who love sports. Maybe it's an aunt test, or your sister doesn't care about sports. It's a sister test. But you get the idea. It doesn't even have to be gendered. It could be your grandpa test. Your grandpa's really into like not sports. It doesn't have to be gendered. I use grandma as shorthand. But the idea of the casual, not even a casual sports fan, just somebody who is aware of sports in a pop culture sense. What would they know about this year's Super Bowl? What would they know about the matchup? Oh, does Tom Brady still play? You know, you might get one of those. But this is not a game that passes the grandma test. When was the last Super Bowl that did not involve the Chiefs that you, as a Chiefs fan, were jacked up to watch? The last one you were like, oh, yeah, this is going to be some real good football. I'm excited. I'm picking a side. I'm really excited about this game. I can't imagine it was Bengals-Rams. I can't imagine it was Patriots-Rams for some of the same reasons. I mean, the Chiefs both of those years had come one step shy of reaching the Super Bowl, and you get that close and miss out, that dampens your enthusiasm. Patriots-Eagles? Super Bowl, what would that have been? 52? Were you pumped and jacked for that one? What about 51? Falcons and Patriots? Was that the one you were dialed in for? What about Super Bowl 50? Broncos-Panthers, maybe the most forgettable Super Bowl of our lifetimes. I don't remember a single thing that happened in that game except Cam Newton not falling on a fumble in the fourth quarter. I couldn't tell you anything else. I had to look up who the halftime performer was. With Beyonce. She's pretty famous. I forgot she was on halftime of that Super Bowl. But a very forgettable Super Bowl and a Bronco team. Probably that's the comparison you would make to this year's Seahawks, where, yeah, they're mostly here because of their defense, but we don't trust the quarterback play. Remember, that was year Peyton Manning got benched, and then they put him back in for the playoffs because, yeah, we're not winning anything with Brock Osweiler. And Peyton Manning held it in the road for 3 games, and the defense was awesome, and the Broncos won the Super Bowl. So it wasn't that one. Was it Seahawks-Patriots? Seahawks chance to repeat against the Pats? Was it Seahawks-Broncos? Number 1 offense versus number 1 defense? And I guess the further back I was going on it, I guess I come to realize, outside of that connection to it's your team playing, haven't been a lot of Super Bowls in recent years that have had much of a narrative beyond, well, here Brady and the Patriots again. Here Brady and Belichick again. And you either really into that or you really weren't. You were really into rooting for it. How many of y'all? Be honest. How many of y'all? If you're a Patriots fan listening to this show, please reveal yourself. I feel like I'm giving you a really hard time right now if that's you. But you can text the show, 785-272-9429. Let me know if I'm just giving your team all the grief. But if you weren't really into it, you probably weren't excited about necessarily rooting against them. The hate watch, if you will. There have been more hate watch Super Bowls in recent memory. And for people outside of 785-913 and all the area codes in greater Kansas City and broader state of Kansas that I'm forgetting, they kind of became hate watches too when the Chiefs were going to their 5th in 6 years. But that's my question for you today. When was the last time you were really jazzed for a Super Bowl. And how excited are you for this one? Like, if you could rank it out of 10. I know 5 of the last 6 has been 11 out of 10 out here. But how excited are you for this one? Because, again, there doesn't seem to be that obvious hook beyond, well, it'd be nice to see Sam Darnold win one. That'd be a nice story. Or, wow, Drake May, he could be the next big thing if he wins this Super Bowl. Maybe that's the storyline that hooks you. But I guess that's my third question to you today on the program. I'm making you do a little bit of the heavy lifting today. Maybe that's not fair to me because it's a Monday. But I am curious, genuinely, I'm curious how you're approaching Super Bowl 60. You excited, or are you just kind of whatever on it? And what intrigues you the most about this matchup? 785-272-9429 is the text line. You can also interact, of course, in our live chat on YouTube. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so. We'll get his take on the big game coming up on Sunday. We got college basketball to get to. We got headlines. We got What Is Wrong With You? We got Good, Bad, Ugly. Jam-packed show. We're with you until 6, and we're really glad you're here at the start of this edition of 580 Sports Talk. $329 on 580 Sports Talk. So I end up not doing it because if you got it, you would have really enjoyed it. But so it's Groundhog Day today, and that's an old movie. When did that come out? 89 Groundhog Day? 93. I guess not old as I thought. The movie Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. And one of the great gags in that movie is that every time Bill Murray wakes up, it's the same song. It's "I Got You, Babe" playing on the radio every time he wakes up because he keeps waking up and it keeps being the same day. I had the thought that I was either going to do that or I was going to open every segment with the 580 Sports Talk theme and open every segment like I open every hour. And I felt like that would have, one, maybe gotten old, and two, would have been a little strenuous to my voice, giving you the let's get it every segment. And three, like if you didn't get it, like it would have gone over like a fart in church. But just know that I do recognize that today's Groundhog Day, and a happy Groundhog Day to all who observe. And I had that joke in mind, but I ended up not doing it because then I would have had to explain it to you, which I guess ended up doing anyway. So maybe I just should have done the joke. I should have just done the bit if I was going to explain it anyhow. Groundhog did see a shadow, by the way. Old Puxatawny Phil, he saw a shadow today. I guess that means 6 more weeks of winter. My only question is, what do you mean 6 more? We got 1 week of winter around here. Now we're back in the 40s and 50s. I'd like 6 total weeks of winter. I like winter. I like being able to see my breath. I like it when it's 20 degrees. I like snow. I like having all 4 seasons. 6 more weeks of winter. I'll take 6 more days if you're offering. Anyway, so the question I have today, how excited are you for Super Bowl 60? No Chiefs, only the second time in the last 7 years that's been the case. Again, take a moment to drink that in. Take a moment to, again, realize how preposterous that is and what an incredible run that we have experienced. And look, for all we know, we're still in the middle of it. Like, would it surprise anybody if the Chiefs were, I don't know that they'll be the betting favorites in the AFC going into next year, but would it surprise you if they were? It wouldn't surprise me. Depends on Mahomes' health, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I asked, okay, when was the last time you were psyched for a non-Chiefs Super Bowl? And what are you most excited about with this game? Many of you are saying the same thing. You are interested in the Sam Darnold of it all. Bill in the YouTube comments, and thank you for self-censoring, Bill, so I can put yours on the screen. I'm actually pulling for Darnold after all the bleep he's been through, the stuff, S-H-T-U-F-F, stuff that he's been through, which I appreciate. Andrew also citing the resurrection of Sam Darnold's career, and also Mike Vrabel's redemption with the Patriots, team he played for, and an extremely young starting quarterback as Drake May, as you probably will know. If you don't know it now, you'll know it by the end of the week. Certainly is the second youngest quarterback to start a Super Bowl behind only Dan Marino. Christopher's not big on the matchup, saying, I'll listen while I'm out doing deliveries, but I'm completely agnostic about this game. Just happy it's about to be over and baseball will be beginning soon. Pitchers and catchers next Wednesday. In surprise, pitchers and catchers. That is exciting. Some other thoughts from the live chat. JB said he didn't hate the Bengals-Rams Super Bowl, even though the Chiefs just missed that one. Bengals never go, and I wanted to see Matt Stafford in the Super Bowl. Matt Stafford got a lot of fans around here. I had no idea. I didn't think my take that he's a borderline Hall of Famer was so controversial, but I took a little heat for that one last week. 4B Swinford in the live chat, welcome in, says, Pats Giants in 2008 was my favorite non-Chief Super Bowl. Yeah, that was one with an easy hook, right? Like, this is either going to be something unprecedented or we're going to see one of the greatest upsets in the history of the Super Bowl. That was one with a really easy, like, jump in point. Like, I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but there's no way I'm missing this one. And, you know, at this point, the Super Bowl is enough of the jumping in point for everybody, right? Like, why are you going to watch Super Bowl? Because it's the Super Bowl. What else are we going to do on Sunday? So I do. I think that this is a matchup largely that, you know, what I have heard and what I've seen on social media, there's a lot of people that still have that anti-Patriot sentiment that are going to root against them. A lot of my friends who are Broncos fans who are still very much anti-Patriots and always have been, and even more so maybe after the AFC Championship game. That's what I hear from them. But it isn't one maybe with a bold-face 72-point font storyline the way we've seen in previous Super Bowls. And sometimes the storyline is the players, right? But this is not one of those where you don't have like the obvious future Hall of Famer playing for his first ring, right? And maybe one day we're talking about Jackson Smith and Jigba or Christian Gonzalez or Drake May, and we're looking back at this game and saying, yeah, that was the first one, or that was the ring, that was the apex of their career with their specific team. But in the short term, this game being about the quarterbacks and the quarterback matchup being a second-year guy and Sam Darnold, it's not the most irresistible of storylines. It's not. I can admit that. But I think it's going to be a good football game. And I am a little surprised how quick a lot of people are to say that they expect this game to be a blowout. We have Vance in the YouTube chat as an example. Can't wait to see the Seahawks demolish the Patriots. I'll be able to relax during the Super Bowl. Boy, your lips to God's ears, Vance, first of all. But secondly, like, I'm hearing that a lot. And I don't know, man. That makes me nervous. It makes me nervous to hear that being the refrain for most of this week. I think it'll be a better game than that. These teams don't get blown out. The Seahawks lost 3 games this year by a total of 9 points. A total of 9 points. The Patriots lost 3 games and didn't lose by more than 1 score. So I will be surprised if Super Bowl 60 is a blowout as it sits right here on this Monday. Now, we might find out later in the week that Drake May's entire shoulder has just slid clean off his body like the finest ribs, and he's not able to throw the football, and it's Josh Dobbs under center on Sunday. But I have my doubts. We'll see what Matt Verderame thinks. He's our NFL insider. He's going to join us after this timeout on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Joins us every Monday at this time throughout the season and throughout the year to talk NFL. And Matt, you're headed out to Santa Clara later this week. What number Super Bowl will this be for you?
6. This will be my 6th one. So pretty excited for that. I'm looking forward to getting out there and getting to a lot warmer weather than outside of Chicago.
No, that is a fact. So is it now 6 in sequential order, or is it just the last 6, or when was your first one?
The first one, it's almost in sequential order. The first one is Super Bowl 53, and I've been to 53, 54. I didn't go to the COVID year.
Sure.
56, 57 last year, and then this year.
All right. What is then, and I'll start with the question that I put to the audience today. What is to you the most interesting storyline for Super Bowl 60 as it approaches the New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks? What is the storyline to you that you feel like is top of the front page, the storyline in this game, the narrative storyline in this game?
Sam Darnold. You know, I know a lot of times we fall back on the quarterbacks as a storyline, and there's a reason for that. They're the stars of the show. Darnold is a particularly fascinating guy. You know, he comes out of USC, top 5 pick. He's really young. I believe, if I remember correctly, he was 20 years old when he got drafted, then turned 21. And he goes to the Jets, and he's terrible. He's terrible, right? I mean, if you think about his Jets career, the defining moment is probably that Monday night against New England of all teams, where he's saying that he's seeing ghosts. And then he bounces around the league. Goes to Carolina, no good. He goes to San Francisco, he's a backup. He goes to Minnesota and has a revival, and everybody kind of asks, well, is he one and done? Is it just a one-off? And he's had a very nice year. You know, I wouldn't say he's been great, but he's been very good. If he wins this Super Bowl, he validates everything that everybody thought of him coming out of USC, that he was going to be a star, he's franchise quarterback, all these things. And I think there is something that anybody can grab onto with that. The idea that you can always get redemption. And for Darnold, he's 60 minutes from it.
Matt Verderame joining us here on 580 Sports Talk, our NFL insider, checking in with us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. All right, let's dive into the matchup, because the Seahawks and the Patriots both come into this game at 17-3, and neither team has been blown out all year. So they've been fairly dominant as those things go, winning all their games. And the losses, I think, no more than one score losses for New England, and Seattle's 3 losses are by a combined 9 points. They played well in the postseason to varying degrees, and here they are at the end. What do you see? It's Seahawks is a 4.5-point favorite. There's a lot of people, we've got them in our mentions, in our text line, that think Seattle should really take care of business in this game. What is the argument for Seattle being the favorite in this game to you?
Well, look, a lot of things, right? I mean, you mentioned they're both 14-3 in the regular season and all that, and that's fine. Seattle's been dominant down the stretch. Now, the Rams game was nip and tuck, and that's fine. They killed San Francisco in the playoffs. They took care of them in Week 18 in a game that was, for all the marbles, if you will, in the NFC playoff picture. Seattle has a stronger resume. Seattle is terrific defensively. Seattle has the NFL's leading receiver. They've gotten 1,000 yards back. They have all the things that you'd associate with a top-tier team. A very good offensive line at the tackle positions. Seattle is better than New England. Like, for me, when the line came out, I really thought the line was going to be Seattle by, 7. I was very surprised it's 4.5. I've been more surprised by the fact it stayed there. If Seattle loses this game, in my opinion, it'll be because it makes a bunch of big mistakes. Because I think there's really very little argument that New England is flat out better than Seattle. I don't know what that argument is. Is it just simply, hey, look, May is better than Darnold, and if he plays like that, they win? Maybe, but how much better is May than Darnold? I don't know. I think he's better. I don't think he's so much better that it flips the whole game. Seattle, I feel like if you're the Seahawks, you go into this game saying, if we play well, we win. I don't know that New England can feel that way.
What is a matchup that for New England you think could break favorably for them in this game in such a way that it could potentially swing it in your favor? The biggest advantage, maybe it's positionally, maybe it's a particular man-v-man matchup. What is that matchup for New England that you think it could break so much in their favor that could swing the game?
I think if you're the Pats, the one thing you have to do, if you don't, I think they get blown out. They have got to limit Smith-Njigba in this game. Look, you're not going to shut him down. He's too great of a player. Okay, they have played, Seattle this year has played 16 games. They've played 19 games. I believe it is, he's had 10 100-yard games. And I believe it's 14 times he's had at least 92 yards in this season. If you're New England, can you hold him to 75 yards? Can you hold him to what for most guys would be a terrific day? For him would be well below average. Can you stop him from wrecking the game? And I think the one thing New England has a very, very good secondary. Jalen Hawkins is an excellent safety, but they've got a trio of really good corners. Marcus Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis. New England has to be able, even if it's by doubling him, to somewhat limit Smith-Njigba. And then from there, win one-on-one against Shaheed and Kupp. Kupp has been fine, but he didn't even have 600 yards this entire season. Shaheed has one catch in the playoffs. If I'm New England, my big bet in this game is if I can stop him, I can cover the other two one-on-one, I can handle the tight end one-on-one, and I am going to make Darnold beat me throwing a secondary target. And that, I think, is a strategy that could keep New England in the game. If they can't stop Smith and the Jig, but if this is a 120-yard effort, I think Seattle's home free.
Matt Verderame is our NFL insider, covers the league for Sports Illustrated and SI.com, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. The flip side of that question, what is the matchup that you feel the best about from the Seattle perspective? The matchup that you feel like, again, you said earlier, you feel like if they play well, they win. If there's a matchup for you that if it goes well, and let's set aside Smith and Jigba for a different one perhaps, a matchup that for them you feel like if this matchup is in Seattle's favor, they're going to hoist the Lombardi.
I think it could look somewhat reminiscent of what we saw a year ago. I think Seattle could just absolutely annihilate New England's offensive line. New England can't block. Like that's quietly been not yet become a storyline. And look, it's not usually one because it's the big uglies up front. It's not the sexy storyline. They've given up 15 sacks in the playoffs, 5 in each game. Drake May only was sacked fewer times than Justin Herbert, Geno Smith, and Cam Ward. He was sacked fourth most maybe in the NFL. New England has a rookie left tackle in Campbell who has been abused all playoffs long. He's been awful. Teams have just gone after him over and over and over. They've had no answer. If that becomes part of this game where New England is under duress having to throw, I don't know that they can win this game because Seattle's secondary is wildly talented. Okay, this is a secondary that, like New England, has corners galore. They've got really good safeties. May's going to need time to allow that coverage to break down a little bit. If he's got to throw the ball in under 2.5 seconds, good night.
For Seattle's part, you mentioned that their defense on the back end has been really good this season, and really the only quarterback who's gotten to them has been Matthew Stafford. But elite quarterback play, elite receiver play has been able to torment the Seattle secondary. It happened in the NFC Championship game. Stafford had an unbelievable game. Puka Nacua was off the charts. New England doesn't have a Puka Nacua, but they have a wide receiver number 1 in Stephon Diggs. They have a quarterback with that kind of arm in Drake May. Is it simply down to timing, or is it going to be like they have to have May be unconscious in this game and making the kind of big throws into tight windows that Stafford was able to do as the last team really over the last month and a half to play Seattle close?
New England has to go back to doing what they did early in the year. They need May to throw the deep ball and win with it. May statistically was the best deep ball quarterback in the league this year. He was brilliant at throwing the ball for 20 yards in the air. Very accurate. I don't think New England has the capacity to put together 3 drives of 10-plus plays against this team and go 70, 80 yards. They have to get the ball down the field. They've got to make the big play. And that could even be, listen, maybe you got a run from Travion Henderson that counts as one of those. He's got the speed. He can break one off. They need that. Seattle, I think, offensively, look, they could have a handful of 10-play drives. I think they could do that. New England's good defensively, but they're not as good as Seattle. New England's going to need May to get that ball down the field. And maybe, look, you roll them out. You max protect. You do some different things. You give some different looks. You play action on a rundown, 2nd and 3, and you give them that kind of a look, and maybe you try to hit something out of a bigger personnel grouping. But I think if you're New England, that's how you have to play. And look, the one thing that I do think is interesting in this game, it is a real X factor that can go either way. Both of these teams can really return kicks and punts. That is something in this game that if I am a special teams coordinator, I am laying awake at night thinking about my coverage here because Shaheed has been awesome in Seattle. And New England, Marcus Jones can run. He is a great return man. That could be something in this game that flips the game on its ear. A guy who, he's not even a touchdown, but his 2 or 3 big returns and flips the field and buys easy field position. That's something both teams have to account for.
We'll come back, double back to Matt Verderame's Super Bowl prediction here in just a moment. But I do want to ask also, because it looks like the coaching carousel is complete if Clint Kubiak takes the Raiders job as is widely expected. That gives us the following as first-time head coaches: Mike LaFleur in Arizona, Joe Brady in Buffalo, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Todd Monken in Cleveland, Clint Kubiak with the Raiders, Jesse Minter with the Ravens. 6 of the 10 are first-time head coaches. Which of those coaches do you most like the long-term outlook for success for in their new job?
I got to be honest, for me, it's not even close. I think it's Minter. I think Minter, first of all, I think Minter's a really, really good hire just in general. But secondly, he's done a great job putting the staff together. I mean, they got Anthony Weaver as a defensive coordinator. Weaver's a really, really well-respected coach. You add in Declan Doyle from the Bears as the offensive coordinator. He's really young. He's like 29 years old. He's a very, very highly thought of OC. Wouldn't be surprised in a few years he gets the job. They've done a nice job filling out that staff. And look, the team's good. Now, the Ravens do have some real questions. Offensively, they're not getting any younger. Henry's 32 years old. Andrews, I was stunned they gave him a 3-year extension. Nothing against Mark Andrews. He's had a nice career. I was floored by that. They are an older offensive team. Jackson is, not old, but he's 29 years old. And for a guy who relies so much on legs, you're going to have to be more of a pocket passer here probably the next couple of years at some point. But I think Minter's a really good hire. Brady obviously takes over a team that also has a lot going for it, and Josh Allen. I do not like the way the Bills' offseason is going. If I'm just being completely honest about it, I am concerned about the fact that they basically have decided that their entire offseason is just to play McDermott for everything. Doesn't feel great. Like it's almost like when somebody gets divorced and they just look at their ex and it's like it was that person, all of it, 100%. Like maybe you're not taking the right lessons out of what happened. I think the Bills basically looked at McDermott and just went, that guy is the reason for everything that's gone wrong in the last handful of Januaries. We're going to promote the GM who's been a terrible drafter. We're going to promote the offensive coordinator who half the people in Buffalo wanted out of Buffalo the second the season ended. I think Minter's the best hire. Brady might have success, but he's going to have to change a lot of things, in my opinion, to get it.
All right, last thing for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. You got 30 seconds. Give me a Super Bowl prediction. You don't have to give me a final score if you're not happy with one yet, but give me the idea of the margin of victory and who's going to be the Super Bowl MVP.
Give me Seattle like 30-20. Maybe it's 27-17. I think it's like a 10-point game. I think for the MVP, I'll take Smith. He's just been so dominant all year. He's been so dominant. I can see a world where it's Darnold. I can see a world where it's Kenneth Walker. I've kind of bounced back and forth. So you'll probably see me predict like 3 different MVPs in the next 6 days. But I think, look, Smith-Njigba is just the best player in the game. He's just flat out the best player in the game. If New England wins, I think it's May. It has to be May, in my opinion, if New England wins. But I think Njigba, they'll just scheme him open. They'll figure it out. I think it's a competitive game. I think it's close in the first half. I think Seattle pulls away.
And as I'll tell every one of our guests this week who picks the Seahawks, Matt Verderame, your lips to God's ears. Matt Verderame covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Check out his subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Catch him on That Football Show at KCSN. And catch him with us every Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, enjoy Super Bowl 60. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a time out. Good, bad, ugly for the weekend that was. Coming up next. good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was to wrap up this opening hour of 580 Sports Talk. My good, Darryn Peterson's first half. We'll talk more about this in the 4 o'clock hour. He was so good in that first 20 minutes against BYU. And that dunk he had late in the first half, I've been going to basketball games a pretty long time. I don't think I've ever seen a better in-game dunk than that one. That was incredible. And there was no doubt in anybody's mind after that first 20 minutes who the best player on the court and maybe who the best freshman in America was. It was Darryn Peterson. My bad is that he didn't really come out for the second half and then sat most of the second half with the heating pads on his thighs. And you just, at this point, and I said this in our instant reaction video that's up on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, you get to a point you just feel cheated, not getting to see him play full games. You feel cheated, and it's unfair that his body is betraying him in this way. And hopefully Bill Self was right when he told Jeff Goodman after the game that it was maybe due to a lack of conditioning because he hadn't really practiced all week. And hopefully we can see Darryn Peterson in full effect tonight in Lubbock. But, yeah, it was just a bummer. After that first half, it was a blockbuster first half from Peterson and the Jayhawks. Not to get to see a second half from Peterson was just a bummer, just a real bummer. My ugly, last night, Sunday Night Basketball on NBC. Had to stay up late, but I did to watch the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Two teams I think are the two best teams in the NBA. The Nuggets lost. They got 3 to death. Case and Wallace shot like Steph Curry for a night. It's whatever. Jamal Murray had a bad game. Nuggets didn't make quite as many threes. It happens. I'm not fussed about the loss. It's 1 of 82. I just hate watching the Thunder play basketball so much, man. I just hate watching Lou Dort put a shoulder into everybody he guards and then fall down every time somebody breathes on him on the offensive end. I hate SGA's act. I just hate that team. I hate those floppers. I hate those dorks. I hate them people riding for those dorks. I hate the Thunder. 4 o'clock hour, we're talking college hoops. 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. It's not Groundhog Day. It's hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero hanging out with you on the program today. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a little bit for What Is Wrong With You. Brendan Dorzinski is off today. We're glad you're here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, WIBW News on Facebook, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Like and subscribe. If you already like and subscribe to those pages, you would have been able to hang out a little bit with me Saturday afternoon, I guess evening, following Kansas's win over BYU. Filmed an instant reaction for that. And if you missed that, but you want to relive what I thought in the immediate aftermath of Kansas's victory over the Cougars, you can go check it out on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Videos go away on Facebook after 30 days, but YouTube is forever. So if you enjoy the archives, go subscribe to that YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. And if you did miss my thoughts from the immediate aftermath of KU's win, I'll give you some day-old donuts, I guess two-day-old donuts, because I do have some takeaways from that performance and how they relate to tonight as Kansas is right back at it. Big Monday in Lubbock. Won't be an easy one for the now 11th ranked team in America. Kansas taking on Texas Tech. Tip-off time set for 8 o'clock on ESPN, or as Spencer Dupuy always likes to remind us, probably about 8:12 on ESPNU or ESPN News, depending on how long that first game goes. So I'll be checking that one out tonight for sure. We'll preview it here on this hour of 580 Sports Talk. We'll also get to the opposite end of the spectrum. The third worst home loss in the history of Kansas State men's basketball on Sunday afternoon. They lose by 34 to Iowa State. And yes, Iowa State is better than Kansas State. Iowa State is a lot better than Kansas State. But you don't lose by 34 at home unless you're rolling over and you're showing the other team your bellies. That's kind of what happened with Kansas State, particularly in that first half. And I don't know that he can possibly say the right thing in a post-game press conference at this point. Like, there's nothing Jerome Tang is going to get behind the microphone and say that's going to make Kansas State fans say, oh, you know what? He's right. We'll be easy on him. We'll back off. We'll stop Googling, can I donate to the buyout, NIL, Kansas State, Jerome Tang. We'll let him rock. We'll give him some more grace. There's nothing Jerome Tang can say. Literally, nothing. Nothing. But that doesn't mean that he can't also stop saying the wrong things when he's behind a microphone. And he misstepped again, I thought, in the aftermath of Sunday's game. And look, these are post-game press conferences. They are not always the most articulate of thoughts that you get from a head coach. Though I've always found Jerome Tang in the previous 3 seasons, now into year 4 as the head coach of Kansas State, I'd always found him to be fairly thoughtful, fairly considerate of what it is that he's saying, which is why it's been so surprising that he keeps losing the press conferences. When you lose, like Tang and the Wildcats are losing, it'd be nice not to lose the press conference. Even if you can't win them, you're not winning the press conference after losing by 34 to Iowa State. You're not. There's nothing he can say that would be okay. But there are things that he could say that would be less not okay than some of the things that he is saying. Did that make any sense in English? I'll make it make sense when we get to that a little bit later on, because that was another grim afternoon of basketball at the Bram. We'll get there later on this hour. We also have What Is Wrong With You this hour. We got 2 new stories to start a brand new week, a brand new month of What Is Wrong With You. Welcome to February, everybody. If you missed it, not yesterday, our most recent show. If you missed it on Friday, we crowned our January champion. It was an early winner in the month. It was the gentleman, the postal worker who delivered a package to the wrong house, and a 10-year-old kid jumped on a scooter and was going to go take the package to the right house, and the postal worker did not realized that what was happening. He thought he saw a porch pirate. So he did, what comes natural when you think you see somebody being a porch pirate. He tried to run over a child with his car, with his postal truck. Bit of an overreaction and a really good what is wrong with you winner. So we will start with 2 new stories in the month of February. But I did want to start with Kansas. Want to hear from you throughout the hour as well. And lest I forget, I do want to hear from you this hour, especially Marty. I've heard a lot of Kansas State reaction early in the YouTube chat. Still looking for that. If you've got K-State reaction, 785-272-9429 on the text line. Can also, of course, get in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Best way to interact, not just with yours truly, the host of this show, but with other listeners to the program. A group was making me hungry during the last commercial break, during that news break, talking about their grocery lists and favorite snacks, and that's a common refrain. It all comes back around to food. Even this show, it will inevitably come all the way back around to where we talk about food. But appreciate everybody rocking with us in the live chat today. I've seen some new faces in there today, and do want to hear from you on the program. Again, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, and 785-272-9429 is the text line. So I was at Allen Fieldhouse on Saturday. I did not realize, I probably should have. It's my job to know these things, but I did not realize until I got into the building. I knew the 1,000. I hate saying this. I never say it right. The 1,000th all-time game at Allen Fieldhouse was coming up. I didn't realize it was Saturday. I thought I was maybe a game early. It was kind of cool that I wasn't. Kind of cool that I was there for a little bit of history. My 14th KU men's basketball game, although maybe it's the 16th because I've been to a couple of Washburn exhibitions there. But game number 1,000 for Kansas men's basketball at Allen Fieldhouse. And they took it to BYU in the first 20 minutes for 2 reasons. Number one, they shot it like the 2016 Warriors. They were 9 of their first 11 from 3. They ended up, I think, 9 of 12 for the half from behind the arc. And the other reason was Darryn Peterson's so good. Like, all of the trouble that Kansas has had to deal with his cramps and his injuries and all of the speculation, the uninformed speculation about the nature of his injuries and whether or not he's load managing or whether or not he's just subbing himself out, keeping his powder dry for the NBA draft. All of that speculation, all of the drama, all of the will he or won't he play, will he or won't he come out for the second half. You would sign yourself up for that too if the player in question were as good as Darryn Peterson is at basketball. That kid is special. Capital S special. And it was all on display in that first half, right? The shooting, he's got such a quick release. Like you almost notice something new every time he plays because he's not played very often. So we're still kind of learning Darryn Peterson's game. But the thing for me that really stuck out, it's a lightning quick release. He can get his shot off in a hurry. It's a natural, it's a fluid release, and it's quick. And he can get that shot up over a defender. He can get that shot up in the mid-range over A.J. DeBonsa. That was probably my favorite moment of the game. Second favorite. Favorite was the dunk. Get to the dunk. Second favorite moment of the game, Peterson had a steal. Deflected a ball. It was loose. He outran DeBonsa for it in the front court. By the way, I want to apologize for mispronouncing A.J. DeBonsa's name like all season. I'd really bastardized it. I was saying Dibansa. It's DeBonsa. It's in the game notes. I should be better than that. So DeBonsa. He outruns DeBonsa for the loose ball. And he takes possession of it kind of on the left elbow. And KU set up to play like a 3-on-3 because guys are trailing the play. And Darryn Peters just waved everybody off like, nah, I got to cook this guy here real quick. There are people out there in these streets saying this guy's better than me, better draft prospect than me. I'm going to dot his eye with this fall-away mid-range jumper. And he did. He did do that. That was my second favorite part of the game, Peterson's game. First favorite part was the dunk in traffic, where I had thought to myself, watching the first half, is, man, it still doesn't feel like we've seen the full suite of what Peterson is capable of, because he just hasn't had the explosion, hasn't had the lift, hasn't had that suddenness, that burst, whatever you want to call it. And then he went and dunked on the entire city of Provo, Utah. And I think it's the best dunk I've ever seen in person. I've been to a lot of basketball games. I think that's the best dunk I've ever seen in person. And Bill is not the only one. A text from former host of the program who was at the game as well on Saturday, Jake LeBon, told me the same thing, because I'm watching it from the media seating. If you're not aware, media seating's in like the top corner of the arena. We're up behind the visitor bench in that corner. That's where they can fit us. And it's not, oh, yeah, you got shoved up there because you're just WIBW radio at Topeka. Nah, man, it's everybody. Westwood One's national radio broadcast is broadcasting from up there. 2 rows in front of KJHK. That's where the media sits. That's where there's room. So anyway, that's the media seating. And so that play is happening as it's coming toward us. But we didn't have the great angle, like the floor angle of that play. And I heard from Jake LeBon via text during halftime as I was enjoying my halftime Dairy Queen. And Bill says the same thing in the YouTube live chat. He's getting fouled. He got fouled on the play, and he still finished over 2 big men. So it was impressive. I think it's the best in-game dunk I've ever seen. I really, in person. Not, there have been a lot of great in-game dunks in the history of basketball, but I've only been to, just a small amount of the basketball games that have been played all time. That's the best dunk I've ever seen. And KU's cruising. They're up 20 at half. Peterson comes out for the second half, and I'm not watching him with a fine-tooth comb every possession, but when he left before the under-16 media timeout, I said to myself, nah, this can't be happening again. Nah, man, please, we deserve 33, 35 minutes of Darryn Peterson in this game. He's cooking these guys. We didn't get it. We got 20 minutes. We got an incredible 20 minutes, but we got 20 minutes. How many minutes are we going to get tonight? Your guess to this point is as good as mine. I cannot swear to it one way or another. I don't know if it's telling that the ESPN or the Big 12 promo graphic that they just put out on social media about 15 minutes ago featured Flory Badunga and not Darryn Peterson. But for now, we have not heard that Peterson isn't going to play, so let's assume that he's going to play, and I hope we get more than 20 minutes out of him because he's so freaking good at basketball. But there were 2 other things that I think Kansas can take away from the performance against BYU that they're going to have to replicate tonight if they want to have a shot at taking down Texas Tech in Lubbock. Number 1, Bryson Tiller. So it's conventional wisdom that in an NBA playoff game, an NBA playoff series, and probably in regular season games, this applies too, but the regular season is so long, and there's just but so much regular season intensity that you ever really get. The playoffs is where it ratchets up. With the scarcity of games in college basketball, the big games kind of feel like those. That's the closest thing you will get to an NBA playoff game type of atmosphere in college. It's not apples to apples, but it's the closest comparison we've got. But in a game like that, where you've got a big game in a home gym and a hot crowd, the conventional wisdom is the home team is going to be able to get more out of their secondary guys and their tertiary guys. Stars are always going to be stars. You play the game wherever. Like Michael Beasley said, you can play at home, you play on the road, you play in Africa. The stars are always going to be stars. Darryn Peterson's always going to be Darryn Peterson. A.J. DeBonson's going to be A.J. DeBonson no matter where he plays. But it's your secondary and you're even further down the list of guys who you count on to contribute. Those guys, when you're the home team, you're going to get more from. And those guys, when you're on the road, you maybe don't get as much from. And that can be the separator in a game like Saturday's. And I think it was a separator in Saturday's game because BYU's primaries, their 3 best guys, Richie Saunders was unconscious in the second half. He had a new career high. He had 33. I really like Richie Saunders. He's one of my favorite players in the conference. I have to admit that. I'm not ashamed of my truth. I really like Richie Saunders. He had 33. DeBonson got 17. Hard-earned, but he got 17. Rob Wright had 18. That's a veteran. That's a Big 12 veteran player. So their stars got theirs. but they didn't have anybody else in double figures. Kennard Davis didn't make a three. They had 3 total bench points. Meanwhile, KU has all 5 of their starters in double figures. So obviously Peterson gets his, and then the secondary guys for KU are probably at this point Council and Badunga, and they got theirs. But Bryson Tiller with a career high 21. You told me that before the game, I would have bet my life savings on a KU win. And it wasn't just that he got 21. It was how he got the 21. He played with a confidence that has kind of waxed and waned throughout the year for the freshman. You can understand why. Number one, he's a freshman, best basketball league in America. Number two, he didn't play a lot of basketball as a senior in college. So he's still kind of finding his way, but he was aggressive and confident in a way that really stood out on Saturday. Knocked down all 3 of his first half threes, hitting shots out of the corner, was scoring off the dribble, was defending and rebounding effectively. They had him on Keita, kept Keita from being a factor on the glass and in second chance opportunities. That was a big-time Bryson Tiller game. Melvin Council said after the game in the post-game media availability that he challenged Bryson Tiller and told him to not be so soft. And Council said that he said it maybe in a different way. And you could probably imagine what way you might say, don't be so soft, in such a way that you could not repeat in front of a media scrum. But anyway, that was the message received. Tiller was terrific. Can he be that on the road? Can he be that against a quality opponent in a difficult road atmosphere? KU needs that. If they're going to win some road games in this league and win the league, they're going to need more of that addition of Bryson Tiller. The other big takeaway from Saturday for me, Flory Badunga on the defensive end. I spoke to this when we were talking in the on the instant reaction on Saturday night. First possession of the game, Flory Badunga is one-on-one guarding A.J. DeBonsa. And my first thought is, really, Bill Self? That's what you want to do? You're gonna put Flory on DeBonsa? That's the matchup? Bill Self has won a lot more basketball games than me, as it turns out. It was a stroke of genius. And the reason it was a stroke of genius was twofold. Number one, usually the center guards the center. You don't have to guard Keita. Play on his back and box him out, keep him off the glass so he doesn't get tip dunks and second chance points. That's where Keita contributes offensively. If he's not getting those, he's not a guy they're going to throw it into for a little 5-foot leaner or a baby hook. He's not really that kind of an offensive threat. So you don't need to stick Badunga on him just because he's also tall. They put Tiller on Keita, and they were willing to live with that, and it ended up being a good decision. Again, just play on his back and box him out. Play on his back, let him front you in the post. They're not throwing it into him. DeBonsa's not driving and kicking to Keita. They're not running sets for Keita. Just play on his back and keep him off the glass. And Tiller can do that. Trey White can do that. That left Badunga available to guard DeBonsa. And DeBonsa, he's big and strong. You don't appreciate until you see him down court level warming up. And I've seen him twice this year now. Saw him at Bramlage, saw him at Allen. He's really strong. Just a solidly built kid. Badunga's the one guy who's as strong as he is. And all you've got to do is move your feet well enough to keep him from getting close. CJ Moore laid it out for us on the Big 12 basketball breakdown on Thursday when we were previewing the game. DeBonsa 5 feet and in, that's a bucket. DeBonsa in the mid-range, a little iffy. Hasn't been very good in those spots against really good teams that have been able to be physical with him. And then from three-point range, DeBonsa's just kind of whatever. He was 31% coming in. He hit 2 out of 4 on Saturday. But he had trouble getting to his spot and getting close and getting to the rim, really getting downhill, because Flory wouldn't let him. And there is no piece that is more valuable for a basketball team on defense than the switchable big, the center who can credibly guard a ball-dominant wing. Now, you're not going to ask Flory to guard he's probably not going to go guard Christian Anderson tonight for Texas Tech. That's not a matchup you want. Really quicker, small guards. You don't want Flory cross-matched on Rob Wright in that BYU game. You didn't want that. But against a big wing like DeBonsa and JT Toppin, reigning Conference Player of the Year, who KU plays against tonight in Lubbock, that's a matchup KU's going to want. And Florio will have his hands full tonight because Toppin, again, is the reigning player of the year in the conference, but he had his hands full with DeBonsa, and he made life difficult on BYU star. And if he can make life difficult on Texas Tech star, KU's going to have a chance tonight. But the biggest thing that KU probably has to fight against tonight is the natural letdown of big home win on Saturday and going on the road on Big Monday. This is a tough spot. I don't know, like anecdotally, it's a tough spot. I don't know what the record is all time for even KU going on the road for Big Monday. And I wonder if Chris Tyson and the athletic crew has that maybe in their in the game notes for KU tonight. I might try and dig that out here if you'll permit me a moment to look. But it's a tough spot historically, just human nature, right? You got a big win at home, emotional win, big game, college game days in the building, and now you got to go on the road for Big Monday. So KU's Big Monday record overall is incredible. They're 82-25 all time on Big Monday since 1996, which was the inception of the Big 12 Conference. They're 63-17 on Big Monday all time against Bill Self. I don't know how many of those 17 losses have been following home games and on the road, or following big home games, important home games, and then going on the road. But it's not an easy spot. You have to fight a little human nature tonight for Kansas. And if they are as mentally tough as I think they are, that's something they can overcome. But look, they could overcome that, and Tiller could play well, and Peterson could play 30 minutes, and Badunga could do a job on top. And if all four of those things happen, I like KU's chances. But they could still lose this game because Texas Tech is really good. They're not an elite defensive team, but they're really good at scoring the basketball because Toppin facilitates everything and can get a bucket. And Christian Anderson is a really, really great guard, and they shoot the crap out of it from three. And that's the biggest problem for KU tonight is KU gives you a lot of threes defensively. They'll let you shoot. Maybe not let you. Maybe that's not quite right. But there is room on the perimeter against Kansas. And you give Texas Tech an inch on the perimeter, they're going to take 3 points. So it's a tough matchup. It's probably one I would lean Tech tonight. But the blueprint for winning for the Jayhawks is, can they get that out of Tiller? Can Badunga hold his own defensively against Toppin? And do they show up? And how many minutes does Peterson play? That might be the most important question of them all, right? We'll have your reaction. You're weighing in on the YouTube chat. We're going to come back to that. Text line 785-272-9429. We got some K-State to talk about as well. Not nearly as much fun to discuss their game on the weekend as it was to discuss KU and BYU, but we'll get to that. But we got What Is Wrong With You coming up next here. Lighten the mood a little bit on this Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Time for What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. Two new stories competing today to open the month of February. And joining us for What Is Wrong With You today, taking a brief respite from plowing the fields over on the ag side of things, Spencer Dupuis. Hi, Spencer.
Yes, I am. I am here. Proof of life.
Great to have you for What Is Wrong With You. Let's get to the stories. I'm going to let you go first today, Spencer. What do you got?
All right, this one I'm going to have to tiptoe maybe a little bit here on some certain things, but
the URL says stripper gifts for what that's worth. We are allowed to say stripper on the radio.
Yes, it gets a little more than that. So this guy, Alexander Baker Depew, 32, he wanted to impress a lady of the night at the strip club.
Okay, as one does. Don't fall in love with a stripper. There's a song about that. Anyway, go ahead.
Investigators allege that he used funny money Tuesday at a Clearwater florist. The accused man, cops say, handed over 15 $20 bills to cover his $288 purchase. It was only after he had departed that the worker realized the bills were fake, marked with the word replica and the notion that the item was not legal tender and only, quote, to be used for movie production or movie motion pictures, end quote.
Yeah, it says those things very clearly on the bill. Yes.
After leaving the florist, he headed to the nearby Oasis Cabaret, which it advertises itself as a topless, full contact entertainment facility.
Oh, no.
And employs women, the woman he fancied. While at the strip club, he allegedly tried to pay his bar tab with the phony 20s, which resulted in the police being called to the establishment. He told police he did not realize the cash was counterfeit. He had about $400 more in phony currency in his pockets. When he was questioned about the bouquet and chocolate purchase, he reportedly admitted to obtaining the merchandise from the florist in order to give it to a female dancer at the strip club. Court records do not indicate what, if any, relationship existed between a dancer and the defendant, which was listed as a transient in arrest reports. In addition to charges for passing prop currency, he was hit with other felony counts when a frisk turned up cocaine and methamphetamine.
Yeah, that'll do it.
He is held in the county jail in lieu of a $21,000 bond.
Where did he get the fake money, I guess is my question.
That's what they're like, where?
Because, I mean, it is pretty real looking, but like the word replica, it's not hard to find on the bill. Yeah, man, don't fall in love with a stripper, brother. That's a lesson. That's free game for anybody out there that needs it. My story today, we are going to Seymour, Missouri. We meet 47-year-old Brian Champagne. That wasn't the drink he was after. All he wanted was a Pepsi. And he was trying to break into a woman's bedroom and demanding the soft drink. Also threatened to kill the victim's son during the confrontation. The victim called the police just before 7:30 p.m. local time last Wednesday. After the officers arrived, they tried talking to Champagne, who was described as uncooperative and argumentative. He kept asking the police why they were being so rude to him and why he was being treated as a criminal. The victim said Champagne tried to fight her son, but the victim separated the two men. The woman said she had video proof of Champagne trying to enter her bedroom. The clip shows Champagne demanding the Pepsi whilst stating he was going to beat the boy's head in and, quote, kill him. After the alleged confrontation, Champagne, as well as the victim and her son, went back to separate areas of the home. Eventually, the victim said that she allowed Champagne's mother to enter her room to retrieve the Pepsi. It remains unclear from court documents how Champagne and the victim knew each other or why they were sharing a residence. Champagne is in the Wright County Jail. So have you ever heard the song Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies? It's literally the song. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi. And she wouldn't give it to me. That's all I wanted. I know that's not to the tune of the song. I wasn't trying to do the song. You've heard me sing enough for 1 year now. All I wanted was a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi. Those are our stories today. I don't think that one wins. I think we got to go to the guy who tried to buy off his stripper girlfriend with counterfeit money. That's really good.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, he spared no expense, except he spared the entire expense because none of the money was real.
He had to have like $1,000 in fake cash.
He did. He was balling on a budget, a fake budget, fake money. He said, I got 15 of these fake joints. I'm going to go buy her some nice flowers. So that's our winner. Never fall in love with a stripper. That's our first winner for the week on What Is Wrong With You. Spencer, thanks for dropping by.
Yep. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
We will talk some K-State hoops when we come back. 580 Sports Talk. Was it? It's 4:38 on 580 Sports Talk. A little more than halfway home on this Monday edition with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Nothing going on sports-wise tonight here on this station, on the Connoisseur Media Topeka family of stations. 6 o'clock, and I'll just go home, watch KU game tonight. But no ball game, no coach's show. We'll have high school basketball tomorrow night here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Some Tuesday night hoops from the pressure cooker, Metal Arc Conference action, Highland Park in Washington, tomorrow night here on 580 WIBW. Some leftover thoughts from that KU win over BYU last night. Tyler in the YouTube comments says, I'd rather DP play the second half of games if he can only go limited minutes. Yeah, it's a funny thing, right? Like if you know you're only going to get 20 minutes from a guy, what 20 minutes do you want him to be? It's hard to say KU would have chosen wrong. They played him in the first half. They built that 21-point lead, and BYU got it to 4, but that was as close as they could get. That late bucket by Melvin Council, like, KU didn't have any offensive ideas. I think they went about 7 minutes without a field goal. They just needed somebody to throw the ball at the hoop and have it go in. And Melvin Council, he can do that. That was a tough shot he made with about a minute to go. Helped KU close that one out. But Tyler makes this other point here. If DP played the whole game, Darryn Peterson, they'd be blowing teams out. Kid can put up 20 and a half. It's really, really hard to evaluate just how good Kansas is. Like, they're ranked number 11 in the country. CJ Moore's got him at number 13 in his own top 25 poll over at The Athletic. And to me, that feels about right. I hope we get to see what their ceiling looks like with an extended run of Peterson playing deep into games. Even if he's only a 32-minute-a-night guy instead of being a 36, 37-minute guy, I just want to see what it looks like. Because with Peterson, sitting out the K-State game and only playing 20 minutes against BYU, KU's won 5 in a row. They're red hot. And they're figuring some things out. Badunga's playing better. Tiller was obviously great Saturday. Council and White are doing what they do. They've cut the rotation to the point where there's not a lot of wasted energy, wasted minutes right now. But how good are they really? I don't think anybody knows. Like, could they win a national championship with a healthy Darryn Peterson? I think that's within the range of outcomes. Are we going to get a healthy Darryn Peterson? No idea. Your guess at this point, as good as mine. On the flip side, Iowa State 95, Kansas State 61. The third most lopsided home loss in the history of Kansas State men's basketball. And look, you have to start here, and Jerome Tang basically did in his post-game remarks. Iowa State's really good, and they're better than Kansas State. They're better than fully healthy Kansas State. They're better than fully healthy. You could put Abdi Bashir out there. You could put Kamari McGriff out there. You could put Moby out there. You could put Rapiek out there. You could find some extra eligibility for Michael Beasley. It would not have mattered. Iowa State's better. They're a lot better. And watching the game, there is an extent where, and maybe this is just me, but I'm watching the game, and it feels to me like every time Kansas State shoots a three-pointer, it's like they're trying to change the course of their season with every time they shoot the ball. It's like they think every three-pointer is worth 50 points. And that's how you miss. I mean, they are tighter than drums right now because they know this is bad. This is the second worst start to a Big 12 season, a conference season in history for Kansas State. For the only team worse, you have to go back to Tom Asbury, the 96-97 Wildcats. They started 0-9 in conference play. Shout out to Manny Dies. What's Aaron Schwartzendruber doing these days? Big ups to Mark Young. He was that team's leading scorer. They stunk. That was the year after an NCAA tournament bid, in fact. And that team stunk. They started 0-9 in conference play. It's the only team to make a worse start in conference action than this year's Wildcats. There have been some other teams go 1-8, but only one 0-9. But this team is 1-8. They know this season is gone. And you can see it, like the sideline shots of PJ Haggerty, and there's just no light behind his eyes. We're so far from that night that they almost beat Nebraska at the Hall of Fame Classic in Kansas City. And you feel a little bit for the kids who understand that this is their season. This is what it is. There's no overturning. There's no putting the toothpaste back in the tube. And that's a heartbreaking realization to have as an athlete when you are playing a season and it's a waste. And I think performance is starting to be affected by that fact as much as it's been affected by the fact that they just don't, like, Marcus Johnson. I don't know anything about the young man. I'm not going to impugn his character. I'm not going to impugn him as a person. That is not a Big 12 basketball player. That is not a Big 12 basketball body. And he's out there looking like, what's the name? Spice Adams, the football player, the former Bear. He does all the YouTube and the tick. Creamy Biggums. That's what it looks like. He's out there like Creamy Biggums, firing up brick after brick. It's not a Big 12 player. CJ Jones. I didn't realize that this was the dichotomy. This was the choice. This was the either or. But Tim Fitzgerald kind of made it sound on Wednesday's Wildcat Wrap-Up, last Wednesday's Wildcat Wrap-Up, that K-State ran off Day-Day Ames and replaced him with CJ Jones. Day-Day Ames is a high major player. He came back to Bramlage and proved that. CJ Jones is not. CJ Jones is not a Big 12 player. And they got too many guys like Taj Manning. Like I said earlier, he's not a Big 12 player. I like how hard Taj Manning plays. Good attitude. He does seem like a good kid from everything public facing. And Jerome Tang raves about Taj Manning, the person. Taj Manning, the player, plays his heart out, but he's not a Big 12 player. They just got too many guys out there that cannot win games because they are not as good. Period. But you shouldn't lose at home by 34 to a rival under any set of circumstances. Pride has to kick in. And maybe that was pride kicking in. Because if you watch the first half of that game, Kansas State could have lost by 50. Could have lost by 50. So maybe only losing by 34 was some pride kicking in for Kansas State. But you can't lose by 34 at home. And there's a whole lot of things right now happening with this basketball program that can't be happening. And the latest of those things to occur at the postgame podium is Jerome Tang being asked, what disappointed you the most about that performance? And Jerome Tang could have had an easy one there. That's a layup of a question because there are so many alumni in the building. Lon Kruger's in the building. Bill Snyder's in the building. They brought back a lot of alumni. It was Alumni Appreciation Night or Give Thanks to the Greats. I don't remember what exactly the verbiage was on K-State's side for this, but they've got alumni. They got a proud basketball tradition being represented in that building, and you do that. It's the easiest thing in the world for a coach to say, you know what, I'm disappointed that was the showing we put forth in front of some K-State legends. That's not a reflective performance. That's not who we want to be. That's not what K-State basketball should be, and we're going to work our butts off to fix it. See, that's easy, right? You hear that from a coach. It doesn't make it better, but it also doesn't make it worse. You know what makes it worse? Quote, I'm not disappointed at all because I'm with these dudes every single day, and I know everything they're going through, and y'all don't. I was proud of our guys, especially in the second half, end quote. That's how you make it worse. Even if all of that is true, even if we take everything at face value from Jerome Tang there, even if all that's true, it's not going to satiate your fans who are tired of this product and are tired of the excuses and who are watching a program in Iowa State who I think it's fair to say that Iowa State is a bit of a barometer program, I would say across most sports, if not all, for Kansas State. Kansas State, because they're a rival, Kansas State would like to feel like they're doing better than Iowa State. Or at least if Iowa State succeeds, why can't Kansas State exceed at a level or succeed at a level that matches or exceeds what Iowa State is doing? You know, I got a text in from the 785. How is Iowa State so much better than K-State every year? They can't have more money. It's not about the money. They don't have more money. They really don't. Like Jamie Pollard's out there with his pockets turned inside out as their AD, begging for NIL commitment. Kansas State's got that. So it's not a money thing. You know what it is? Milan Momcilovic committed to Iowa State as a high school player, and he's been there. And Tamin Lipsey committed to Kansas State or Iowa State as a high school player, and he's been there. So that program has commitment. That program has longevity. That program has culture. What is Kansas State's culture? What is Kansas State's identity? What do they want to be? What does Kansas State want to be in basketball? What is a Jerome Tang team? I know what a TJ Otzelberger team is. Tough as hell on defense, especially now that they've got real players and they don't need to flop. And the college basketball is kind of legislated the flopping, the terrible charge call. They've kind of taken that out of the game a little bit, and it's made college basketball a lot better. And Iowa State did that crap all the time, and I said some nasty things about Iowa State basketball while that was their primary source of defense. But now they got to play straight up, but they do it. They're tough as hell. They've got a great scheme, and offensively, they get guys out of the portal who fit the culture that guys like Lipsey and Momcilovic help build when they get there. There are expectations for how an Iowa State basketball team is going to play, and that's how they play. What is the expectation for a Kansas State basketball team? How would you define a Jerome Tang basketball team? What do they do? What are they supposed to do well? Like, obviously, they're not doing anything well right now. But what are they supposed to do well? What do they hang their hat on? We don't know. We have no idea what a Jerome Tang team is supposed to be. And it's not just, we got these kids out of high school and they set the expectation, they set the tone, they set the culture. Because Kansas State has guys they recruit out of high school. David Castillo, Taj Manning. But Momcilovic and Lipsey are Iowa State's best guys. And it always means more when the culture is coming from your best guys. That's why year one, Marquise Noel setting a tone, that mattered because he was an All-American. This is a program that is so deep in an identity crisis and so deep in a hole this year. It's not recoverable this year. It may not be recoverable at all. Again, there's nothing new to be said about the buyout. If K-State wants to pay it, they're going to pay it. And at this point, they might want to start poking around Major League Baseball. You know that Shohei Ohtani contract? He's on like $70 million a year, but he's only getting $2 million a year right now. He's got these deferrals in his contract. Can they defer a buyout until like 2062? Can they defer that $18.675 million? Maybe that's the solution that makes everybody happy. You've got some thoughts on K-State. We're going to get to those after this timeout to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. A lot of you weighing in on Kansas State's desultory loss to Iowa State yesterday. Let's get to the text line. First from the 402. I'm offended that Jerome Tang doesn't feel like talking to the fans is necessary. Yeah, it's a real easy messaging win for Jerome Tang to say, yeah, I'm embarrassed that we lost by 34 at home. That's not acceptable. I hate losing in front of all these great alumni. I hate losing in front of all these great fans. We've got to find a way to be more competitive for 40 minutes. We're working on that. There's no winning the press conference for Jerome Tang. He can't win a press conference anymore, right? But he cannot lose a press conference. And that's just it. Sometimes you do need to say what the fans need to hear. Even if there's no keeping the wolves away from the door at this point with Jerome Tang, even if that's true, you can still feed them a little red meat. That was a really easy opportunity to do it, and Jerome Tang didn't do it. Text from the 913. I watched the whole K-State game. It was horrible. Then I watched the Nebraska-Illinois game. Kid from Shawnee Mission Northwest, two-time state champion for Illinois. Couldn't even get a sniff from K-State and KU. You're talking about Keaton Wagler. We've talked about him a lot on this program. Wagler, excuse me. Yeah, he rules. He's going to be a lottery pick out of nowhere. Nobody saw this coming. But it's twofold there. Yes, Kansas State needs to be recruiting high school players more aggressively. They've lived in the portal. They've spent big money on players who are not big impact. That's a waste of resources. Spend big money on Coleman Hawkins, and he's just like your second best player. Like, he's a fine college basketball player. He's an NBA guy. You give him $3 million. He's not. What roster is he on? Who's he playing for? So you need to be smarter about the money you're handing out and who you bring in the portal, because everybody uses the portal. But you got to find good fits. What's a good fit? Player who fits your culture. What's your culture? Who sets that? The players who are around for more than a year. Well, who are those guys for Kansas State? Haven't had a lot of them. But that's also a misfire on Jerome Tang's part because Jerome Tang, for the last handful of years, has been going for the big fish, right? He's trying to swim with the sharks. Patrick Ngongba got a visit. A.J. DeBonsa got a visit. Darryn Peterson was in Manhattan. Those dudes were never coming to Kansas State. And that's not a knock on Kansas State as a program. That's just the reality. You aren't getting those guys. Quit wasting your time. You can get a Keaton Wagler. They might have been able to. Think about what that would look like right now in the K-State backcourt. But they're running around trying to swim in with the Sharks. It's not what it works. It doesn't mean you need to take minnows, but that's who you end up getting. You end up getting guys like Taj Manning, who's not a Big 12 player. Those are the kinds of guys you get out of the high school recruiting. You get guys who can't play. So, yeah, it's just a misidentification. Jerome Tang doesn't really understand what he wants his team to be and what he needs his program to be. I'll give the last word to Mark H. in the YouTube chat. I think K-State might be finding out what rock bottom is. Not so fast, Mark. I think it could get a lot worse. We got headlines start the 5 o'clock hour. Stay with us through the news break. We got one more hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero flying this solo through this Monday. So glad you're here with me on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And, of course, on our streaming video channels, WIBW News on Facebook and 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go slam that subscribe button if you have not yet done so. Check us out on YouTube. Hop in the live chat while you're watching on the YouTube stream. We stream on the YouTube every time we're live on the air, 3 to 6 Central Time every day on 580 WIBW. We're also live on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. My favorite team plays in the Super Bowl on Sunday, as you may be aware. I am going to be dressing appropriately throughout the week. Not today. Today, my wife had a theme day at her job at the school that she teaches at. You could wear your favorite team's gear, and she decided she would wear K-State stuff today. And so I pulled out a Jayhawk pullover, and I said, I'm going to wear this just to be funny. And so that's what I'm wearing today. But I will be more Super Bowl appropriate the rest of the week. So maybe you want to check that out. Maybe that's part of the appeal of turning us on the video stream. What kind of fit Dan getting off today? Maybe that's not what you say. Maybe you say something a little bit more generationally appropriate, like, I'm interested in seeing what shirt and hat Dan is wearing today. You might want to check out the stream the rest of the week is what I'm telling you. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. It's a great place also to interact with your fellow listeners in the live chat. You can also text the program, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Still to come on the program today, some final thoughts on tonight's big Monday clash in Lubbock as Kansas Jayhawks face the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Give you a prediction, what I think might happen tonight in Lubbock. Also, asked the question at the top of the show, but never answered it. So I'm going to answer the question that I asked at the top of the show. What is the most interesting narrative storyline of Super Bowl 60? You guys had some good answers. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, tuned in. He had an answer. I'll give you my answer. What storyline I think is the most narratively interesting for Super Bowl 60? Beyond, if the Seahawks win, I'm just going to play Pitbull the entire first hour on Monday. You can join me for that. And hopefully Pitbull's people, who have been remarkably cool about not copyright striking our audio on the program, hopefully they'll let that ride, because I might just play Pitbull the whole first segment and dance around in the studio, which probably best enjoyed on the YouTube. But that's only if they win. They lose, well, weren't supposed to be there in the first place, right? But so upset you can be. Doesn't feel like life or death. Maybe it'll feel like that for me closer to Sunday. But right now, like, I'm not like nervous. I'm not anxious. I'm not like, man, game day just got to get here. I want to get here. I want it to be Super Bowl Sunday. I'm just kind of chilling, man. Just kind of enjoying it. Enjoying the ride. But that's me. Well, we start the 5 o'clock hour with headlines, as we do every day here on 580 Sports Talk. And we began with an answer to a question that many of you have been asking us since the conclusion of the 2025 Kansas City Royals season, including some of you asking as recently as last week. Am I going to be able to watch the Royals on TV in 2026? The answer is yes. Today, the Royals, along with 5 other Major League Baseball teams whose broadcast rights were held by Main Street Sports, who owns FanDuel Sports Network and is on the precipice of going under and folding operations, announced to Major League Baseball, or didn't announce, it's not a clumsy way to say it, they are moving their media rights over to the league. Major League Baseball will assume the broadcast rights for the Milwaukee Brewers, Florida Marlins, Tampa Bay Rays, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and Kansas City Royals, which means out with FanDuel Sports, formerly Bally Sports, formerly Fox Sports. Say hello to Royals.TV. And anybody who wants to will be able to pay to watch the Kansas City Royals on television or on the MLB app in 2026. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to explain it now, and I'm sure that there will be somebody who maybe didn't hear this portion of the show, and they're going to ask in like a week. They're going to ask on the text line or ask in the YouTube chat, because it happens, because it's a question people want to know the answer, and they assume fairly that we know the answer to this question. So people ask us, so what's the deal with the Royals on TV? I keep hearing FanDuel's going under. That's where I've been watching the Royals on cable. I'm a Cox subscriber. I have DirecTV, and that's how I watch the Royals. How can I get the Royals on TV? I just want to watch Bobby Witt Jr. slug some dingers. I just want to watch Salvi dump the Gatorade bucket on somebody. I just want to watch Cole Reagan strike dudes out. Where can I watch the Royals? How can I watch the Royals? Well, if you are a satellite and cable subscriber, nothing changes. You will be able, on your satellite or cable provider, to watch the Royals. Presumably, if there were any cable providers or satellite providers that did not carry FanDuel, there is a window for Major League Baseball, who now owns the broadcast rights, to be able to negotiate with that carrier and perhaps provide the Royals games to that carrier that was missing FanDuel Sports. I don't know, can't confirm that. But if you were, like I am, a Cox cable subscriber, you turn on the TV on a Tuesday night, ready to watch the Royals. You turn it on channel 34, because that's FanDuel Sports Network, and you watch the Royals game on FanDuel Sports Network. And you turn the TV off immediately, and you turn it on the next day, and it's something about fishing, or it's somebody's podcast. It's not a channel with a lot of great options other than the Royals, is what I'm saying. The only thing that might change is what channel you punch in. But the Royals games will all be televised. If they do Royals games like they do other teams' games, home games, you'll have a 30-minute pregame show. I don't know if they'll do a full pregame for road games, but they will, for home games, I believe, do the full pregame show, Royals Live, like you're accustomed to watching on FanDuel. And the broadcasters aren't changing. Still going to be Goldie and Monty and Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Jake Eisenberg, Jeremy Guthrie, and Mark Sweeney here and there. It's going to be the same faces and the same voices. But you're not going to put in FanDuel Sports Network. It's going to be a different channel. And those will be announced later this month, I would assume. I'm sure they're going to put some spring training games on TV. There will be a channel on which you can watch those. It'll probably be in your channel guide. It will just say Royals or Royals.tv. And it's not going to show anything but the Royals programming. Also, if you want to stream spring training games online, you can do that for free on Royals.tv. You can do that on any device you want. In fact, you can watch all the spring training games you want for free. So, satellite cable consumer, and you can already watch the Royals before, you will be able to watch the Royals. It'll just be in a different spot in your channel guide. If you are in market, if you live within the sound of my voice, you are in market for the Kansas City Royals. You are not a cable or a satellite subscriber, just want to watch some dang baseball. This is your option, Royals.tv, which you can watch through the Major League Baseball app, the MLB.tv app. It's going to cost you $20 a month or a discounted rate, $100 up front for the full season. So, season is 6 months, right? You pay $19.99 a month for 6 months. That would run you to $120, or you can pay up front, get a month free. $100 a year, all the Royals games from the comfort of your own home, on your phone, on your tablet, on your PlayStation, your Xbox, on your Roku or your Fire Stick, whatever, on the MLB app. I will say this. It is a much better performing app than I have found the FanDuel app to be. It is a much better performing app than the Bally Sports app was. It is a better streaming experience. So if you were paying before, you'll pay again. But like, ain't nothing for free anymore, right? Like you want to watch TV, you got to pay for it. Unless I know people have an antenna, you watch like the fast channels, you got to pay typically to watch the baseball. But that is going to be what it costs you to watch the baseball. $20 a month, $100 for the full season, Royals.tv. They are taking email alerts. If you go to the website, Royals.tv right now, you can sign up for an email alert when the subscriptions go live, which will be later this month. But that will be how you watch the Royals. Now, if you are a Royals fan and you live in the market, but you take a summer vacation to California or Florida or the Badlands, and you want to watch the Royals games on your phone while you're on vacation, you can do that. You can watch them anywhere. Now, you're subject to blackout restrictions, so if you're in the Badlands and they're playing the Twins, you're probably going to be blacked out. You need to find a local TV, and MLB TV blackouts are a scourge. Nothing you can do there. But that's how you're going to watch the Royals. Royals.tv. $100 for the season is honestly not a bad price. I think FanDuel was charging $120 for the season. So I think that's a pretty decent price. Pretty decent price point for Royals baseball. If you think about it, if you're going to sit down and watch all 162 games, first of all, shout out to you. You and I should be friends. And number two, that's less than $1 a game. So that is the answer to your question. How do I watch the Royals in 2026? Royals.tv if you are an in-market streamer. If you do not have cable or satellite and you want to just watch the games, Royals.tv. If you are a cable and satellite subscriber and you have previously been able to watch the Royals, you will still be able to watch the Royals. If you are a cable and satellite subscriber in the area, in the market, and could not watch the Royals, hopefully Major League Baseball will be able to do what Main Street Sports could not and get an agreement to broadcast the Royals in your area or with your provider. So there you have it. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not tell you that you can listen to every Royals game all season long for the low, low price of free right here on your home for every pitch since 1969. 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. That's a little thing called being a company man. Next headline. Mark Turgeon is back in the game. Former Hayden High star, former Kansas Jayhawk, longtime college basketball coach, most notably at Wichita State, Texas A&M, and Maryland, is the next head coach at UMKC. He's going to be the lead man for the Roos, who will be letting go of Marvin Menzies at the conclusion of this upcoming season. It was a bit of a surprise, frankly, to hear that Mark Turgeon would be returning to the sideline at UMKC. I talked to him at his Kansas Sports Hall of Fame induction, which was, I want to say 23 or 24. No, it was first class that got inducted here in Topeka, so I think it was 2024. And I talked to Mark Turgeon that day, and we spoke for a few minutes. And he mentioned at the time that he still had an interest in getting back in coaching. At that point, he had not coached since ending his time at Maryland at a mutual parting of the ways 8 games into the 2021-22 season. But he is getting back in the game in the Summit League with Kansas City. Turgeon's career record, 479 to the good, 275 defeats. Has won 56% of his conference games. Turgeon's been to 2 Sweet 16s as a head coach, one at Wichita State in 2006, one at Maryland in 2016. Maybe his best team was the Maryland bunch in 2020, who was tied for first in the Big Ten Conference going into the tournament that, of course, did not get played that year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But he's not had a great track record of success in the NCAA tournament. It must be said that 4 years at Texas A&M, they won 24-plus games each year, but he couldn't get out of the first weekend, and that's why Texas A&M wasn't sad to see him go when he took the Maryland job. And then at Maryland, first 3 years there, only made the NIT once. 3 straight tournament appearances, 1 Sweet 16. Then a year out of the tournament, 3 straight years. Well, they would have been in the tournament in 2020, but 2019, 2021, lost in the first weekend. That was always the knock on Turgeon at the big programs, was that he wasn't the guy who was going to take you on a deep NCAA tournament run. I think Kansas City would just be happy with an NCAA tournament game, right? Because they've never played one of those. The only postseason postseason competition for UMKC in that program's basketball history, an NAIA tournament berth in 1977, and an appearance in the CBI quarterfinals in 2017. So Turgeon gets him to the tournament. They'll build him a statue outside of Municipal Auditorium, or more likely UMKC's on-campus gym. But a cool story for a Topeka all-time great, one of the best prep players to ever come from here, on maybe the greatest prep team to ever come from here, that undefeated Hayden squad. Great career at Kansas, had a fine, very successful coaching career, and now gets to take a swing at what has not historically been a very easy job there at UMKC. Next headline on 580 Sports Talk, we'll stay with college basketball. AP Top 25 college basketball poll out today. It's still Arizona up top, undisputed number one, as the lone unbeaten left in major college hoops. Miami, Ohio, still undefeated as well. Arizona is 22-0 and received all 59 first-place votes this week. Michigan and Utah swapped places. Michigan up to 2, UConn down to 3. Duke and Illinois round out the top 5. Illinois, a big riser, up 4 after they won at Nebraska yesterday afternoon. Gonzaga, Iowa State, Houston, Nebraska, and Michigan State round out the top 10. So the top 10 remains the same from last week. It's the same 10 teams, just a little bit of a reshuffling up top. Kansas jumps to number 11. They're up 3 spots after their win on Saturday over BYU, who had previously been ranked 13th in the country. Purdue, Texas Tech, North Carolina, and Vanderbilt round out the top 15. Texas Tech down 2 spots after they lost at UCF in their most recent contest. That was Saturday afternoon, I believe. Look, man, you just don't walk into Addition Financial Arena and think it's going to be sweet. Think you're going to walk out of there with an easy win. Not the case. 16 through 20 in the AP Men's Basketball Top 25. BYU, Florida, Virginia, St. Louis, and Clemson. Arkansas, St. John's, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, and Tennessee round out the top 25. Kansas State did not receive a vote. Next headline. The NFL coaching carousel is done spinning. Mentioned this with Matt Verderame at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour earlier today. But the final 2 vacancies appear to be spoken for. The Cardinals hire is official. Arizona hiring Mike LaFleur, former offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. And yes, that is the brother of Matt LaFleur, current head coach of the Green Bay Packers. So once again, we have the chance for brothers to coach against each other on the NFL sideline. You had the Harbaughs. Now you have the LaFleurs. Mike LaFleur will be the head coach of the Cardinals. It had long been assumed he was the favorite for the gig anyway, but took it a while for him to, I guess, formally get hired. So Mike LaFleur is the guy in Arizona. The Raiders are going to hire Clint Kubiak, offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. That is all but done. The reason it's not done is pretty obvious. Clint Kubiak's got one more game to coach. But once he is done in Super Bowl 60, they'll probably fly him to Vegas after the parade. Maybe he'll go to the parade. Or maybe they'll fly to him so he can be in the parade. And then he will sign his contract. He will be the next head coach of the Vikings, the Las Vegas Raiders. I was looking at his career CV. So I probably knew some people who knew Clint Kubiak because he went to high school just down the road from where I went to high school. Obviously, his dad, Gary Kubiak, longtime member of the Denver Broncos coaching staff. Clint went to Regis. He went to the Catholic school just down the road from the public school, Grandview, that I went to in Aurora, Colorado. And he graduated in 05, and I'm an 04 graduate. So I probably knew some people who knew Clint Kubiak, which would mean I also knew some people who knew Mike McDaniel because he went to Smoky Hill, which is not far from where I grew up. Anyway, you don't care. Clint's been a pretty fast riser since arriving in the NFL after a 1-year stint at Kansas as the wide receivers coach. 3 years in Denver as an offensive assistant, then 2 years as the quarterbacks coach in Minnesota before becoming the offensive coordinator of the Vikings in 2021. Then he was the passing game coordinator of the Broncos for a year, passing game coordinator of the 49ers for a year, offensive coordinator of the Saints for a year, offensive coordinator of the Seahawks for a year. And I hope he's renting. And now he'll be the head coach of the Raiders. The joke is this was obviously going to happen as soon as everybody heard all of the nice things Tom Brady was saying about Clint Kubiak on the broadcast of the NFC Championship game. I confess I was only half paying attention. You know, I'm watching the game, but I'm not really listening to the game. I'm, got one eye on my kid and all that. But it was clear, apparently, from the broadcast that Tom Brady was a big Clint Kubiak fan. And, of course, who's Tom Brady, a managing partner, part owner of? Yes, a consultant for. I don't know what the verbiage is they use there. But obviously, he's affiliated with the Raiders. So, not a surprise. Clint Kubiak is going to get that job. That means we have our 10 head coaches, 6 first-timers, which means 4 retreads. No black head coaches. Tough year for the Rooney Rule this year. Robert Saleh is Lebanese, but don't believe identifies as black or biracial. No new black head coaches in the NFL's head coaching cycle in a league that I remind you is predominantly black. It's not a great look for the league, but at the same time, right now, the in vogue thing is that Shanahan offense, that McVay offense, that coaching tree. Everybody wants a piece of that. And I don't know if this is their fault necessarily or not, but Shanahan and McVay's offensive assistants have tended to be white dudes. So those are the ones, like Clint Kubiak comes from that tree. Obviously, Mike LaFleur comes from that tree. Those are the guys that are tending to get hired as the first-time head coaches in this cycle. That was the case. Text from the 785 says, surprised Brian Flores didn't get a job in this cycle. I think Brian Flores is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't know how good a head coach he is because I think he got kneecapped in his first job. He also thinks he got kneecapped in his first job and is suing the league about it. And that might just not be a problem that any team wants to bring in-house by hiring Brian Flores right this second. There was a report that Flores almost left Minnesota over frustrations with the directions of that organization. We talked on Friday. It was in headlines. They fired their GM, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, last Friday. And there was a report out there that Flores was so disillusioned by the direction of the Vikings, he almost left this offseason. They had to convince him just to come back. So he'll stay in Minnesota. I think he will get another chance to be a head coach down the road. I think his record as a DC is too good not to. But again, suing the league, and that can be a tough sell for probably an owner in particular. Vance missed the Bills hire. Wondered who was stupid enough to take that job. Well, you'll never believe it, Vance. Just to double back, the position that the Bills decided needed to be filled by somebody who would be Josh Allen's bestie was filled by Josh Allen's bestie, Joe Brady. Their offensive coordinator is the new head coach of the Bills. He's one of the 6 first-time head coaches in the cycle. It's him, it's Kubiak, it's LaFleur, it's Jeff Hafley, it's Jesse Minter, and it's Todd Monken. There you go. 6 first-time head coaches. Also in NFL news today, league's going to France next year. They'll play their first ever game in Paris. The Saints have been announced as the home team. And we don't know who they'll be playing yet, but there will be, I believe, 8 international games in 2026. 9, actually. 9, because they've announced a Mexico City game for 2026 as well. So 9 international games for 2026, 1 in Paris, 1 in Mexico City, 1 in Melbourne, Australia, 1 in Rio de Janeiro, 1 in Munich, 1 in Madrid, and 3 in London. Hope you like international NFL games because there are going to be a lot of them. 2 more headlines to get to real quick. I don't have a ton to say about these headlines, so we'll fly through them. Big Major League Baseball trade today. A player who had been on the Royals' radar as a possible acquisition, infielder Brendan Donovan. Well, he's on his way to the American League, but not to the Royals. St. Louis, Seattle, and Tampa Bay are finalizing a 3-team trade that will send Donovan to the Mariners. He's coming off a great season, batted .353. No, he didn't. He batted .287 with a .353 on base last year. 10 home runs, 50 runs driven in, led the Cardinals in wins above replacement, and made his first All-Star game. And he goes to Seattle, who really needed an infield bat with a little bit of thump. and Brendan Donovan will get him that. The rest of the terms of the deal have not yet been disclosed, but you can cross Brendan Donovan off the Royals list. And also, don't know if you've seen this, and kind of hope you haven't dug too deep into it because it's gross, but there were a whole bunch more Epstein files that came out over the weekend. And before we veer too dangerously far into the, hey, you got politics into my sports, Giants owner Steve Tisch is in the Epstein files saying some really yucky stuff to Jeffrey Epstein about women and dates. And you can sure read between the lines that maybe some of the women were not age appropriate. Steve Tisch claimed in a statement that we had a brief association. He's talking about him and the planet's most notorious dead pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women. Adult women. I see what you're doing there, trying to do there, Steve. And in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. So that's kind of going to be a problem for the league. Wasserman, the head of the 2028, Casey Wasserman, head of the 2028 Olympic Committee. I want to make sure I have his position right. He's the chairman of the organizing committee for the 2028 Olympics. Yeah, he's in those files. Russell Wilson was in those files. He was just trying to buy the man's airplane. Professed some ignorance about what that airplane was allegedly used for. He just wanted an airplane. And he found, it's pre-owned. Let me get my agent on that and ask the guy who owned the plane before. I'm sorry, who owned this plane before I'm trying to buy it? That had to be awkward. That had to be a tough one for Russ. Anyway, look, y'all, I don't have anything real insightful to say. The stuff that's in the files is obviously horrifying. A lot of people are in them. A lot of people are potentially implicated in those, allegedly implicated in those. All I know is this. Look, man, it is an Olympic year. We're supposed to host the World Cup. Those are two very big international competitions, and they are inherently political. We're going to do our best, as we've always endeavored to do on this program, to try and keep it a sports program and stay, if politics intervene, with the old Joe Friday line, just the facts. If you wanted my opinions, you'd ask for them. It would be a very different show. I don't host that show. I host 580 Sports Talk. But might be hard to keep those kinds of connections, those politics connections, out of sports talk when you're in an Olympic year and when you're hosting a World Cup in the same year. We'll tread carefully. We always do. We always try to. You've told us that's what you want us to do. You've been very clear. But just know that there might not be a way to keep it out of our sports talk all the way. So again, like Joe Friday, just the facts. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. What is the big storyline for Super Bowl 60? I asked you. I'm going to tell you what I think the most compelling hook for Super Bowl 60 is, beyond my favorite team being in it. The Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. Isn't that cool? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. Since the people wanted to know, I want to be very clear also about our Olympics coverage here on 580 Sports Talk. Not only will we bring you some of Westwood One's updates throughout the show, some updates on the upcoming Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. The Olympic Roundup will return to 580 Sports Talk. Do not fret. You will once again get to hear these golden pipes and the Olympic Roundup theme song. That's not going anywhere. That is a tradition that we will maintain and uphold here on the program. The Olympic Roundup, but more importantly than that, the Olympic Roundup theme song. It's where you first heard the singing ability that made me the 580 Sports Talk Idol champion. That Olympic Roundup theme, which I recorded deep in the throes of a summer cold. So I really do sound like crap on that thing, which I think maybe elevates, honestly, the performance, that knowing that I was playing hurt. I was playing through some pain. But yes, the Olympic Roundup will be back. The Olympic Roundup theme will be back. I guess that's next week. We got opening ceremonies coming up at the end of the week. We've also got a Super Bowl on Sunday. Super Bowl 60. Seahawks-Patriots. And I asked the question of you at the beginning of the show. No Chiefs in this thing, so many of you do not have a dog in the fight. I have a dog in the fight. The Seahawks, they're the Super Bowl, man. Isn't that something else? But what is the narrative hook that compels you in this Super Bowl? What is the primary storyline that is the most interesting between these two teams who, before the season began, were nobody's idea of a Super Bowl contender? We talked about it last Monday on the show that at least since 1989, in terms of the Las Vegas preseason conference championship odds of both teams, this is the unlikeliest Super Bowl matchup since that data is available. Since 1989, there has not been a less likely Super Bowl rematch. And it's not even as unlikely as, like, Titans-Rams was also extremely unlikely, but that was unlikely because the Rams were such a long shot. Titans were like 15-1 to win the AFC that year. That wasn't that much of a long shot. For both teams to have been 60-1 odds or worse to win their respective conferences and be playing in the Super Bowl, there's not a lot of, like, I'm trying to think about analogs to that in other sports. Like, I remember it being a big deal when I was little, back in 1991, when the Twins and the Braves both went worst to first and played in the World Series. That was a big deal. But, like, I'm trying to think of, like, worst to first in Major League Baseball in, like, the 30-odd years intervening, 34 years of World Series since then. I can't really come up with one. Like Diamondbacks Rangers a couple of years ago, that was pretty unforeseen. But there's that part of it, that somebody is going to win a Lombardi trophy who nobody saw coming. And from a historical perspective, I'm a big believer in the idea that the Super Bowl is the story of the NFL. And you can look at any given Super Bowl year and the results of that game, and it will tell you something about the history of the league. It will either tell you something about the team that won it, their place in history. It will tell you maybe something about the team that lost it. It will tell you maybe something about the quarterback or the coach or the other star player who won it, who hoisted the Lombardi trophy that year. There aren't many one-off Super Bowls where you go and you look at the Super Bowl and you say, well, yeah, this didn't really signify anything. There's not a lot of, like, historical significance. What's the historical marker for this game? I think Super Bowl 56 is one of those. Bengals, Rams. Like, what are we going to be saying in 20 years is the historical significance of Super Bowl 56? Is it Aaron Donald's ring? Is it Sean McVay's ring? Is it Matthew Stafford's ring? Well, I think, yeah, there's that. That's part of the story. But as far as like the story of where the league is and where the league is going, and the importance of the figures historically involved in that Super Bowl, like, I know the Rams went to one a few years before that, but that was with an entirely different quarterback. They haven't been back since. Got close this year, haven't been back since. Bengals haven't been back since. Came close the year after, but haven't been back since. So there aren't a lot of like one-off Super Bowls. This one maybe has a chance to be one where we look back 10 years from now and like, oh, yeah, Seahawks-Patriots, that's kind of weird. In the middle of Mahomes going to 8 Super Bowls in 10 years, that was kind of a weird one. That's me being bullish on the Chiefs for what that's worth. But this could be a Super Bowl that really is like Buccaneers Raiders is kind of a one-off. That was a really great Buccaneers defense, but is that like a team for all time? Like the 85 Bears are a team for all time. But are the 2000, I think the Ravens in 2000, historically great defense. Did the Buccaneers rise to that in 2022? I don't really think so. And then the Raiders, they got to that one and they haven't been back to one since or even close. Like that's kind of a historical one-off of a Super Bowl. Broncos Patriots in 2015. Other than, you know, Manning riding off into the sunset, I guess maybe that's not such a historical one-off because it was Manning's second ring and it was his last game. But that wasn't a Bronco. The Broncos missed the playoffs the next 10 years after that. And the Panthers hadn't been close before and wouldn't get close again for a while. Haven't gotten close since. So that part of it is interesting to me. Like, what is this Super Bowl ultimately going to signify? But that's maybe a question that's better answered in 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. The immediate storyline that is of the most interest, and most of you have kind of pulled at this on the YouTube live chat, and Matt Verderame said the same thing, our NFL insider. This is the Sam Darnold Super Bowl. And it's a little bit of the Drake May Super Bowl potentially if the Patriots win too. But Sam Darnold going in is the most fascinating story because this was a guy who was written off, left for dead, dissed, forgotten. There was smut put on his name, and that was just me. Never mind the rest of the football public. That was just me saying those things. But Sam Darnold had to endure a lot to get to a place where you generally expect a number 2 overall pick at quarterback to get. It took him a fall. It took him being passed over for a starting role. It took him a year of being a backup. It took a year of him surprisingly ending up the starter in Minnesota and beginning the redemption cycle. But he's where you expect a number 2 pick at quarterback to be, 60 minutes from a championship. Drake May, same situation. He's there too. It only took him 2 years. So at the end of the day, it's funny because I went into these playoffs thinking that they might not be quite as compelling, or flip side, they might be really wild and unpredictable because you had so few of the established elite quarterbacks participating. Of the guys who we know to be established elites, it was really just Josh Allen. Mahomes was at home. Lamar was at home. Burrow was at home. And so that obviously opened up the potential for it to be a really wild playoffs, but it also opened up the potential for a team or teams to make it to Super Bowl Sunday and to do so where the quarterback isn't the story. And then here we are, and it's the Patriots and the Seahawks, and the quarterbacks are the story. Because I guess at the end of the day, the lesson there is it's football. The quarterback is always the story. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Some final thoughts on Kansas's trip to Lubbock tonight. Is it winnable for KU? Sure. Are they likely to win? I'll tell you what I think when we come back. 580 Sports Talk. Interesting thought from Christopher in the live chat on YouTube. I think we might see a bunch of one-off Super Bowls over the next several years as the NFL enters a period of extreme parity. Certainly possible. It's also possible this is a one-off because Jordan missed the playoffs. It might just be 1994 in the NBA. Mahomes gets his knee right, and next year is 95, and then we have 96 through 98 still to come. That's entirely possible as an outcome, too. Time will tell, but I am leaning more in the direction of Seahawks-Patriots kind of just being a weird one, which that could be totally wrong. Maybe Drake May is that guy. He hasn't really played like that guy in the playoffs. If he plays like that guy on Sunday, nobody's going to care how he played against the Chargers. If he's that guy on Sunday, he's going to be the youngest quarterback to ever win the Super Bowl, and probably the youngest to win Super Bowl MVP. Kansas basketball in action tonight. They take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. This is a bad spot game for Kansas because you had all the emotion and excitement from Sunday or Saturday, rather, with the big win, college game day in the building, hot crowd. 1,000 games all-time at Allen Fieldhouse, ranked opponent in town, Peterson versus DeBonsa, everything that went into that game. And KU won it and had to kind of hang on for dear life at the end to win it, but they won it. And now they got to go on the road against a team who just lost a road game on Saturday in Texas Tech, and a good team, too. Texas Tech's 4.5-point favorite, according to our friends at Prairie Band Sportsbook. The things I think that will tell the tale tonight, number one is obvious, is how much is Darryn Peterson going to play, if at all. Darryn Peterson doesn't play, I really don't like KU's chances. Peterson plays, but he can only give you 20, 25 minutes. Which 20 to 25 minutes are they? Even a limited Darryn Peterson makes Kansas a much, much better basketball team. And it's not like they're not capable without him, but man, they're so good with him because he's so good. So obviously, I mean, that's the big question going to every KU game. It almost goes unsaid at this point. But I want to see if Bryson Tiller can go into a hostile environment and play as well as he did on Saturday, because he was terrific on Saturday. He scored 21 points, hit 3 threes, rebounded well, defended well. That's probably Kansas's 5th best starter as it's currently constructed. If he can give them another solid performance, he doesn't need to score 20 plus, but, knock down a couple of corner threes, play steady defense, stay on the court, don't get in foul trouble. Kansas needs that from him. That'd go a long way tonight. Ultimately, though, my lean is Tech tonight. And Christopher also pointing out in the YouTube live chat that this is the start of a really difficult stretch for Kansas. They got 8 games this month. Play Tech tonight. They got Arizona next Monday at home, Big Monday. They got Houston for Big Monday later in February. They got Iowa State. They got Arizona again. It's a murderous month. We're going to really find out what Kansas is made of. And like I said, I think they're really good. I think with Peterson, he might raise their ceiling to being Final Four level good. But this is a hard one tonight. It's a quick turnaround. It's a hostile environment. And it's against a team in Texas Tech that I think is equipped to take advantage of one of KU's weaknesses, which is they don't get out and defend the three-point line real well. Not that they give up an abnormally high percentage. They just don't get out and deny the shot particularly well. And if there's space to fire, Texas Tech going to fire. And they are a very good shooting team. So I expect Texas Tech to knock down quite a few threes tonight. They'll be the more desperate team, I think. You don't want to lose 2 in a row in this league if you're fighting for a league title. KU's won 5 in a row. Maybe a little fat and happy after beating BYU at home. I think Tech wins this one. I think it'll be competitive. I don't think Tech's going to blow them out. But I think Tech will probably pull away and probably be able to keep KU at arm's length with the 3 ball. Of course, Darryn Peterson plays 35 minutes tonight. You might want to forget I said anything. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this show with the final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Fun little note on that Brendan Donovan trade I mentioned in headlines. Cardinals trading Brendan Donovan to the Mariners in a 3-team deal. Sounds like the Cardinals are going to get Jurangelo Shanja back from the Mariners. You might remember him as the switch pitcher out of Mississippi State. It was a first-round pick a couple of years ago. Throws with his right and with his left hand and does so well both sides. And it's got a cool name, Jurangelo Shanja. Pretty cool. Anyway, final word time here on 580 Sports Talk. I don't know where the bottom is for Kansas State basketball. They might not be there yet, to be completely honest with you. And it feels like every loss, every humiliation at home, every misguided Jerome Tang press conference feels like the bottom. But you watch them play and you see that this is a team, A, without enough Big 12 caliber players, but B, just one who doesn't have the answers, one who is frustrated, one that is losing composure, struggling to do things that are routine for them, things that felt routine for them when we watched them in November and December, like making open three-pointers. These guys came out of the gate as one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country. And yeah, I know Abdi Bashir's out, and that hurts that particular department. But you guys are getting wide open threes and just clanking them all over the place. You can't change the season with one shot. This is a group that would benefit from the put one foot in front of the other ethos. One possession at a time, one half at a time, one game at a time. Because there's no fixing the record. There's no recovering this season. It's lost. But for those kids, you hope they can get to a point where they're enjoying their basketball a little bit by the end of the year. That's probably a little bit too much to ask given the results, given the likely results moving forward. But you don't like to watch people struggle. It's not fun to watch Kansas State struggle like that, I guess, unless you're a KU fan. But I don't know that we've hit bottom yet. I really don't. I think things could still get a lot worse before they get better for the Kansas State Wildcats. And they got a whole week off, which that might be the best thing that happens to them, is they get a whole week to sort of recharge before they play Saturday against TCU. And goodness, do they need it. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. My name is Dan Lucero. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.